What's up, guys? Welcome back to Let's Play Bioshock Infinite! So, we have arrived here in Soldiers Field. It's where the airship is going to take us out of Columbia has docked. And Soldiers Field is home to the Hall of Heroes, which is a place where all the famous people from Columbia have archived their exploits and whatnot, and all of Comstock's bravery, so to speak, from years prior. As I said in the last video, a new gimmick that is intrinsic to Elizabeth's contribution to the gameplay is her ability to pick locks, as we saw her do in the tower there. There's two different kinds of locks that she can pick. There's a one that she has to pick as part of a like a plot door, essentially, or a mandatory path that you must take, and that's one that you can open with a hairpin lock. So you don't actually consume anything with that. There's got to be a better way for me to phrase that. But the hairpin locks are essentially they're deliberate ones you have to go through to progress. I'm sure I'll find a proper term for that sooner or later. But then there's the ones that require proper lockpicks, and I just picked one up off the ground over there, and there's another one over here. This one is the first one it requires. It only requires one, but you may think, oh, you only need exactly as many lockpicks as there are doors to unlock with them. This is not true. There's other things you can unlock as well that require multiple lockpicks. And for instance, there's a safe in this room that requires what do you call it?
Better already.
Requires multiple lockpicks, so we're gonna have to scavenge around and find those. So a lot of the time spent in this game that's going to artificially extend the length of this Let's Play is spent salvaging every last little part of the environment until we find enough lockpicks here. I'm going to pick up a new weapon here. This is the carbine, which is a weapon I don't think would exist at this point in time because it's almost like the M1 carbine or the almost like a M1A1 kind of, but I can't even imagine something with this kind of rate of fire would ever exist in 1912. We've picked up a audio diary there from Daisy Fitzroy.
God made foolish girls so he could have something to play with.
I don't think that was supposed to be closed yet. I think we triggered that sequence a little too early or something. We can manually open it. It's got this weird device that's powering it. When I meant to mention earlier, when Elizabeth tosses you that money like that, that's all contextual based on if you're picking up money in the environment, and she will do the same thing in combat with ammo and such like that, and health. And you've seen her do it before, but it's essentially on a cooldown during combat. And I'll talk about that again when she starts tossing us more stuff. Here's something that these things are very rare that you find them in the environment. Those are little salt dispensers, and you walk up to them and they fully replenish your salts. They're very uncommon, surprisingly. You'd think they'd be everywhere, kind of like a lot of the vending machines or a lot of the stuff you'd find in the previous games in Rapture that restores your stuff, like the health machines. They're not very common. Quite surprising. But yeah, as part of my goal for this Let's Play is to explore every optional area, which again is going to artificially extend the length of this Let's Play by going into places like this and finding things like this voxophone.
To bring the wicked to righteousness. For what am I, if not a mirror to reflect the face of God?
Notice I only grabbed the voxophone and then walked out. You got to be careful in some of these. The Soldiers Field is a very big level, and we will be coming through a lot of these areas multiple times. That's why I didn't gripe about not getting all the lockpicks to open that safe right now, because we'll come back later and get it. I might get it off screen, actually. There's a lot of nice, cute moments in this area where Booker and Elizabeth have dialogue with each other, and I'll try not to talk over that as best I can. I hope you guys can still hear it.
Guess I got a bit behind with current events.
But yeah, Soldiers Field is a very big level, and I do not want to cause a lot of trouble here because they are not currently alerted to our presence. The local police aren't. Essentially anybody wielding a gun who is one of Comstock's loyalists, it's going to try to take our head off. So, despite the fact that I'm walking around carrying a fully loaded rifle and shotgun into a storefront, they don't seem to mind unless we point it at somebody. So, I'm going to go in here and get another audio voxophone from one of the Rosalind Lutece here.
Who stood looking at another girl who also was and was not myself. My mother took this for a nightmare. I saw it as the beginning of a career in physics.
I may
Almost kind of spoiled something there, but not really.
used to work at Pinkerton's.
I'll talk about the carbine once we get into combat with it.
Gracing a resume.
But yeah, all of these enemies here, all these NPCs are non-aggressive, but we can turn the non-combat ones in. We can make them, you know, frightened and make them flee, and all the combat ones will start coming after us if we cause a lot of trouble. And in that shop there, I could have actually aggroed some guys there, but I got the voxophone and left, as well as in that restaurant.
Be a dimwit. How could you not know that?
Must be something particular to Columbia.
Loved those stories when I was.
There's a couple more places up here I want to explore. I want to show off this area right here,
They are a bit off-putting.
because I need to be able to find all 5 lockpicks to be able to get in that safe as well. So that's kind of why I'm exploring these optional areas. Oh look, it's a giant plushie of the songbird. That is terrifying and adorable. There's a cop conveniently guarding this working replica of the heater. The heater is a Vox weapon we'll be seeing much later in the game. If you wanted to practice with it, you can pick it up right now and start an encounter. But I would highly, highly advise against that on 1999 mode, because it has a stupidly low amount of ammo. It's one of the rarest weapons in the game as far as ammo goes. And it's not really even all that great when you think about it, because we just got the shotgun, and the shotgun is perfectly competent as it is. But again, I'll talk about the heater when it's relevant, much, much, much later in the game. Nice little Easter egg, completely irrelevant though. I keep wanting to go up this way because this is the way to the Hall of Heroes, which is where we need to go next, technically. But I'm skipping a sequence trigger, so I kind of need to. I need to go elsewhere first. But I suppose I should
There a woman in your life?
get that safe first, though.
She died,
Oh, how?
giving birth.
Yeah, a lot of times stuff has to be in the environment to trigger Elizabeth to throw stuff at you. She won't just throw you money on a cooldown. You kind of have to be picking up money for her to do it. So let's head over here to the gondola and go up to the Aerodome and board the First Lady and get the hell out of Columbia.
Need to summon the gondola if we intend to reach that airship.
This machine looks just like the one at the door there. Right.
This runs exclusively.
And just like the one at the door,
Of course
it busted on us.
Where in the hell are we gonna find that?
Look,
That's lovely.
come see the future of power at the Hall of Heroes.
Huh. Well, that's convenient.
Gentlemen, False Shepherd is loose in the streets of
Alright, so now we have to go to the Hall of Heroes and find the shock jockey in hopes we can reactivate all these machines here that keep breaking down on us. Sorry I spoiled it 5 seconds before it happened.
For your profit. Something ain't right.
Crap, they're onto us now. I actually did not intend to fight these guys here. I was kind of hoping to just go straight in there without encountering them, but oh well, I guess I did. Gonna try to quickly get away from them. The Murder of Crows, if I didn't say so before, does slightly increase the damage you deal to enemies, putting them in a vulnerable sort of stun state, but not nearly as much as, say, the Shock Jockey does.
You don't look so good.
But I'll be demonstrating that later on. The carbine, like I said, is a very accurate semi-automatic weapon. I might be showing it off in greater detail later. But I really don't want to fight these guys right now, so I'm just going to progress on.
Oh, what the hell?
Is something wrong?
Nothing I can't fix. I gotta get this thing moving again.
See if we can't get this elevator working again.
Oh, it's a bee. I hate these
Fuse
things.
box count 1.
Just kill it.
No, it'll sting me.
Elizabeth.
I have a better idea.
Wait, what are you doing?
Opening tear.
Oh, shit. What is that?
It's a tear. I used to open them all the time in my tower.
What is a tear?
It's like a window. A window to another world. Most of the time they're dull as dishwater, a different colored towel or tea instead of coffee. But sometimes I see something amazing and I pull it through. There.
Good God. I don't suppose you've got an airship in there?
I don't think so. But there is. There There's something. Oh no!
Close it.
I'm trying!
Close it!
That was close. Yeah, that poster is not foreshadowing at all.
Back there. But it sure as hell looks like a shortcut to getting us killed.
But I could help.
Well,
I can
that was
handle
horrifying.
Whatever comes along. Trust me.
Have it your way, I suppose.
That rose is cute, though. Suppose we'll let her keep it.
To the sky Comstock bent his knee, and saw with holy prophecy an Eden floating in the mist, by man forsworn, by heaven kissed.
Alright, so there's another optional area coming up here that I want to get into. It requires one lockpick, but it will essentially give us more that we more than what we initially invested into it. So I feel like it's worth going in here, especially because there's a voxophone in here and some gear. So obviously I have to. Unfortunately, there is a turret in here. We haven't encountered any enemies in the Hall of Heroes yet, but there is this turret, so we do gotta, or I should say, automaton. We get a new piece of gear here. These are boots that's called Newton's Law, and it's, obviously we know what that is. So the concept is when you drop off a skyline, you can knock back enemies around you with a sort of a light AoE attack that doesn't really do a lot of damage, but it does kind of knock them backwards around you. That can be pretty useful. So that's so far the best gear we've gotten so far, one that I actually don't mind keeping as part of my setup. Other than that, we've been getting very unlucky as far as gear pickups go, and like I said, they're completely random, so we can't help that. There's another save here that requires 5 picks, and as we go through the one at the beginning there, we can come back and get that. Actually, we can come back and get this one too. So honestly, I'm not really worried about not having enough picks for the first one, because we'll get more as we go. I don't think lockpick drops are random. You don't get them from loot from enemies, that as far as I know, but you do. There are certain instances where the environment will drop multiple of them in the same pickup, like you'll get 2 or 3 in like a bag or something, and you will get an overstock of them that you'll keep a supply of. So even if you're not constantly scavenging the environment for them, eventually you'll have more than you need. And you should finish the game with like 25 or so extra ones that you never used, if you're thorough enough. Because the game wants you to be able to find a lot of this stuff, but it doesn't want to only have exactly as many lockpicks as there are things to unlock with them. It's starting to sound like Barry Burton with all this lockpick talk. Either that or Sam Fisher. Anyway, we found all 5 lockpicks. We're going to have her unlock this one first. And hopefully by the time we get out of here, we'll have replenished that supply. So that was, actually, you know what? I take back everything I just said. Well, not entirely. They don't drop from enemies, but you can buy them at vending machines later in the game too, which I'll comment on that more when it's relevant. For now, we got a new vigor, and it's one of my favorite vigors in the game. Ladies and gentlemen, the Bucking Bronco, which I will be demonstrating in combat. If you guys saw one of the early trailers from the game back in 2012, you probably saw this thing in action. It can be charged. I almost never do that, but I just want to demonstrate on this group of enemies here. You may see a couple of achievement progress things we're getting there, and that's achievements towards using multiple types of vigors and vigor combos and that kind of thing. We'll get them as they as we go. They're kind of just progress achievements. And it's nice the game is updating about that. So what the Bucking Bronco essentially does, if you guys couldn't tell by the demonstration, is it launches enemies into the air, as we saw back at the raffle and fair there. The guy was like, you know, watch as I lift this guy into the air and that kind of thing, and that's essentially what it does. It doesn't do any damage outright. Even when the guy falls back to the ground, he falls back to the ground without any kind of violent landing or anything. But what it does do is, obviously, it completely immobilizes the enemy and leaves them susceptible to damage. I feel like it immobilizes them better than Murder of Crows does, but you don't have the additional damage of Murder of Crows, and it can't be comboed with as many things. You can combo it with You can combo it with, it also doesn't have the same range because it has to travel across the ground to move the guy, unless you do throw the charged projectile, which I rarely remember to do, even though I do think it's a good strategy. Yeah, as you can see, they are more susceptible to damage in there. If you do a critical hit, they'll fall to the ground with an impact, and that'll finish them off. So if you hit them when they're low on health, that'll be the finishing blow, so to speak. And you'll see me do that quite a few times throughout the game. I just ran out of salt, or else I'd use it. The other great thing about Bucking Bronco is the fact that it doesn't have a high salt consumption to cast it. So it's very efficient too. And the only thing is it can get pretty expensive when you start comboing it with other things like Devil's Kiss. Comboing it with Devil's Kiss is very good because you can throw the fireball down and then unleash the Bucking Bronco, and it will cause a chain effect. It will chain to other enemies and that kind of thing. Much as the same as you can with Murder Crows and Devil's Kiss, but they kind of use for different purposes. Now we're fighting another Zealot, another Crow Zealot, and actually the Bucking Bronco is quite good against him because you can see when he's immobilized, he can't teleport away, and I can just unload on him with this shotgun while he can't do anything about it.
Okay.
Do you want to know how to dance? I will teach you how to dance. Anyway, also hopefully that encounter was a pretty good demonstration of the carbine. I feel like it was. I really don't need to say anything else about it. It's one of most people who play this game. It's one of their favorite weapons. I'm pretty partial to it, but you'll see me use it quite a few times. But there are other weapons I would much rather have, especially late in the game. And I don't really see why this weapon has such a strong preference late game when there's so many better alternatives, as I'll mention when we get to that point.
Through the legations in Peking, and as he put it, through hell the order was given. At today's muster, Slate asked me if I was Sergeant Monroe's daughter. I said, yes, sir, I am. Slate said, your father always wanted a son. I hope the fool has wisdom enough.
It's a code book for a cipher. A secret message from the Vox Populi.
Secret codes?
The cipher should be around somewhere.
So we picked up a code book there, which is goes to a Vox cipher. It's a cipher for a Vox code that we can unlock and go to another optional area with it. And this is a weapon upgrade station here. One of the things you can purchase with your exuberant amount of money in this game is not only weapon upgrades but also vigor upgrades. I will be purchasing some weapon upgrades. My first run through 1999 mode, I decided not to get any weapon upgrades whatsoever. But I did do so in my first run through the game in general. And what I did there is I used the possession on this thing to get some of my money back. And I'm not sure if that completely ruins the vending machine or what it does. I think you can still use it afterwards. It doesn't really. I don't think it makes anything cheaper after a while. But the optional areas right here along the side of this area are pretty. They're kind of hard to notice the first time through the game because I had to latch onto a skyhook to get up here, and I definitely did not notice that my first time through the game. There's another upgrade I wanted to get there, the damage boost for the sniper rifle. I got the one for the carbine because we're actually using the carbine right now. But when I get the sniper rifle, I'm definitely going to want to have that, and I'll explain why when we get to that point. But these two optional areas here, I'm definitely going to want to go through here. Ooh, there's some Vox corpses around here. Look like a pretty bad fight broke out here. But the reason why I didn't buy that right away is because I do not want to get too low on money in this, because on 1999 mode, I don't want to have a bad encounter and have to die a couple times because then I'm going to have to reset. And resetting in this can be devastating, especially when you like your loadout and you don't want a bunch of RNG to happen and you end up getting a different gear drop or weapon drop in a particular situation. So the best we can eliminate RNG, the better.
From the war. Took guesses as to why they were there, but who's there? You're Slate, right, sir? Put the guns down!
Did you hear that, Comstock? That is the sound you have never heard.
Okay, look.
The sound of a soldier.
That's what the code book deciphers. I'm sure of it.
Huh.
Let's see. Tip the hat to the Vox.
Here's the Vox code.
That meets the eye.
This part, the last two Voxophones I've gotten really do detail some of the absolute best parts about the whole Bioshock series. and that is the completely pointless side characters that you only ever meet through. You never meet them. You only hear about them through their. You only hear them secondhand through their audio diaries or voxophones, and it's just a fascinating story that a lot of these characters tell, and it's told from beginning to end completely in these audio diaries. The character we saw before was, related to Cornelia Slate, who apparently runs the operations here in the Hall of Heroes. And the other one was about the police guys coming in that bar and getting attacked by the Vox. And now I just got one from Daisy Fitzroy. Also, this is the room that the Cypher unlocked, and I'm definitely going to want to come down here because we get a lot of cool stuff for this. We get an infusion, which I obviously want. We get a lot of money. And we get the RPG early, and I will definitely take that. The RPG is one of my favorite weapons in the game. You would think I wouldn't be so partial to a rocket launcher, especially with a limited supply of ammo such as this, but I will be explaining my reasoning when it comes up. For now, we're just going to demonstrate it. It's called the Broadsider. No, I'm sorry. It's called the Barnstormer RPG is what it's called. Broadsider was the pistol. It's called the Barnstormer RPG launcher. And actually, I didn't mention the carbine's name. The carbine is called the Huntsman carbine, which is simple and makes sense. And I may actually remember to refer it to as such, if I can. This is another example of random enemy spawns there when you backtrack through an area. These two guys just kind of appeared here after I had spent so much time not in that area. There's another kinetoscope there if you didn't have it before. I'm going to try to buy that damage upgrade for the sniper rifle now, because I definitely want to have that going into the next area. Like I said, my first run through 1999 mode was probably more challenging than my test run or this run, because I neglected to buy stuff like that, and I kind of stuck to a particular setup. But again, my most recent test run and this run, I am going to be investing in weapon upgrades. The Vigor upgrades I'll talk more about when we see them, but I will be passing them out for the most part. Now right here, this is very subtle but critical, but Elizabeth just picked up a skyhook. So she's going to be able to go with us this time. She's just such a bold and daring girl for someone that's been locked up all her life. I really give her a lot of credit for that. Alright, here we go. Hope you're ready. What am I saying? She's probably more capable than I am. Well, this is a pretty cool looking place. Those are some obviously well put together enormous brass statues there. And much like everywhere else in Columbia, this place has a obsessive fascination with Comstock.
Slade? I actually know the fella. Seems he's still got a knack for making enemies.
Veterans! You shed your heart's blood for Columbia, lost limb and viscera in the godless Orient. Comstock did nothing! And yet, look up! Whose image squats above you even now? At every angle and insult! If the prophet would make a painted whore of our past.
Alright, so we're going to be thrown into a scripted encounter here with some snipers. And I really didn't like this part here. The first time I played the game, I felt it was kind of unnecessary to have this very cliche first-person shooter style encounter. But essentially what it is, you can see the glimmer off of their scopes when they're scoped in on you, and you can therefore point them out that way. But I'm actually going to be skipping these guys altogether for two reasons. One, this encounter can take a long time. Two, or actually three reasons. Two, I run the risk of dying, which I definitely don't want to do. And three, I want to preserve as much sniper rifle ammo as possible because this is my favorite weapon in the game.